This is video number 1 of the freshman library orientation. So first, something about libraries. First of all, libraries go back a very long time. You might have heard of the Library of Alexandria in Egypt. It was established around 250 BC and eventually was completely destroyed, a little bit or a lot, depending on who you talk to, by Julius Caesar, and then later in the 200s. But it set a great precedent for libraries. You might have been to your public library, either in Cupertino or wherever you live nearby in Los Altos or maybe in Santa Clara or Sunnyvale. All have public libraries, and the public libraries in this area are awesome. And we'll talk a little bit about those a little bit later. And then there are, of course, university libraries. Stanford has one of the most extensive library systems. It's a little bit hard to get in there because you have to be a student there. It's not a public library, but it is possible. But San Jose State does have a public library that is a joint library along with the city of San Jose. It's one of the most renowned partnerships really in the world. And if you've never been there, you should check it out. And lastly, there are all different kinds of libraries, most of which involve research, but there are legal libraries, archival libraries, and all of those kind of things that you might run into in your professional years. But libraries are becoming more and more important, even though print materials are not as readily sold as they might have used to have been. But the online resources are incredibly important. So librarianship as a profession is actually growing. Our library is a quiet place to study and read. We consider it a safe space. We have a no bullying policy, either in person or online. And we consider the space here for everyone in our community. And lastly, we consider the library a learning commons. And what this means to us here is that it is perfectly fine to have a conversation in the Homestead Library, especially if it has to do with your projects or your research or your work. But certainly you can socialize. But what we do ask is that when you're in a group setting or just with a friend, that you do keep the noise level down so that others can study silently. There are times that the library is set aside as a silent time, but for the most part, we do allow for quiet conversation. And the fishbowl, where you are now, is often set aside as a quiet space for learning as well. So this is the end of the first video. We are going to take a time out, and what we'd like you to do, you can pause this video or you can stop it, and you can return to Google Classroom and complete the form number 1 library introduction. So you will send your response, and once you've done that, in a couple of minutes, you should continue to video number 2.